My name's Sal Cooper. I'm a visual artist from Melbourne. I've been there. I work from a place called the Abbotsford Convent, actually, down there. That's where I have a studio. I've been there for about 20 years or something. That's about how long I've been practicing my art. I do mostly screen-based work. So that means I shoot video and I do animation. Within animation, I do some hand-drawn stuff, so that's on paper or in the computer, and I do stop motion with objects, puppets, plasticine, what have you. So they're the main things I do. A lot of the work I have made in recent years, I collaborate a lot with a musical composer. So a lot of the work I've done in recent years is for performance. Often that's so we have a kind of musical element that's live. So we'll have instrumentalists playing, and I've made vision that gets projected onto a huge screen or a number of screens around them, and people play in synchronization to the vision. And that's really, that you have to be a great musician to be able to do that. That's down to the 25th of a second in terms of precision. So I do that. I do general filmmaking as well. And I make works on paper, exhibit once every couple of years. So I have quite a kind of broad range of things that I do.
So when you were at high school, say like a 14, 15-year-old girl, that's what you had in mind? This is what I'm going to do?
God, no, not even a bit of it. All I did was draw in the margins of my textbooks and get in trouble for it. But no, I think I was a bit of a science head, and that's what I was supposed to. The last thing that would have occurred to me was to be an artist.
So what happened?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It was almost like I tried not to be an artist for as long as I possibly could. I had a number of different jobs and managed to stay fairly miserable all the time until I started making stuff. And then I discovered that was how I was going to be happy.
But making, yeah, you can make lots of things, but making as in?
Making as in drawing, as in producing, being my main concern. You know, it's not a kind of particularly easy vocation. It's full of chronic uncertainty. It's kind of precarious way to make a living, of course, but it's also just necessary.
Were you around sort of saying, and that happens a lot when you become an artist or whatever you do in that sort of field, oh mate, you never make a living out of that. You just treat it as a hobby. It's impossible to make a dollar out of that sort of talk?
Oh, yeah. People have always said that, they always will, and unfortunately it's becoming more and more true. The way that, you know, the sort of public funding is diminishing for the arts, very much so. So it's really getting harder. I've never seen it be this difficult to try and get support or funding for.
But isn't it the fact when times are a little bit more tough, this is an industry that straight away goes down first almost? Oh,
absolutely. Canary in the coal mine. It's absolutely true. People are concerned about things like cost of living, and this is true. But the thing that I think gets forgotten is that we need art of all sorts. We need books. We need content to look at. That's what you're watching. Somebody made the stuff that you're watching on Netflix. You know, we need drawings. We need the capacity to think about other worlds, to imagine stuff. They're really, really important things. You know, that's a fundamental part of any culture, is the capacity to make things and to look at stuff and to imagine and to be different. And I think a country without that is just nothing. You can have all the fabulous sports people in the world, but if there's no culture, if there's no art, then it's going to be a lonely place.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you're not nervous, but you're fiddling with your hands there a little bit. I guess, is that part of one of the jobs of what we call animation?
It is. I've just sort of squished together a little character here out of some clay that I found behind me. This is the kind of stuff I do. I put these little things under camera, and basically breathe life into them. So that's what the word animation.
It's been around a long time, isn't it?
Yeah,
Animation.
yeah. Since around when they first started making films,
Yeah.
right? Since the first cameras, like
Who do you think whoever came up with it? Let's make
yeah.
little puppets and we move them.
I know, and it was kind of, I mean, it comes out of, there was a sort of fashion around Victorian times for little toys, like zoetropes and things like that, that would look like they were moving. They were parlour games or children's toys and things like that. So once then photography got invented, that it developed from there and became more and more sophisticated. So it's been sort of in existence parallel to filmmaking since the beginning of photography, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's as bare basic as isn't it? When there's the only technology is the right way of moving, take a shot, make a move, take a shot, and I guess the storytelling of what happens to the character.
Yeah. Look, there's lots of elements in there, but yeah, at its heart, it is the most simple thing. It's about taking film is a sequence of still images, and all you're doing is moving objects or drawings or something within those frames, so it gives the appearance of movement. So the word animate comes from animare, to give life to something, to give it a soul, and that's what you're doing.
And it's still popular.
Yeah.
Hey, you look at AI, for example. We talked out of the interview. We talked a little bit about AI, but it's like you even see in AI the creation of cartoons and puppets and whatever, which is actually similar, isn't it? The only thing is you do it on the screen and not in the reel.
That's correct. Essentially, yeah. Essentially, it's the same thing. I mean, I haven't seen any AI generated animation that I could honestly bear to look at, to be honest with you.
Imagine, yeah.
But it is, the principle is exactly the same. You take an object, you move it from A to B over a sequence of frames, over a period of time. So you can do that inside a computer. You can set it up and use 3D software to do that, or you can sit there with a camera looming above you and do it by hand.
Now, I often ask this question to people that are in art and in the artist world. What is it for you? Is it, I do a lot of things because I also have to think commercial, or whatever I do because I like it and I couldn't care less if people like it or not, or a mix?
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually, when I started in this game, I set myself up in a studio, and because I was doing animation, I had some skills around camera work, also drawing and things like that. So what I did in order to survive was have a really broad array of skills that I could apply. So 1 week I'd be doing video editing, then I'd do some graphic design, then I'd do some storyboarding, then I'd paint the side of someone's house, right? So I had a really broad array of things. And as years went by and I got myself established and had some degrees of recognition and managed to get some financial support through various entities for what I was doing, then I was able to refine what my practice was until I get to the point where I'm really doing the stuff that I want to do. So that just took me about 20 years.
Is it still, are there still opportunities like in Australia, or is it what you hear often nowadays? Oh, with a lot of artist work, no, you're much better off go to America, go to Europe, much bigger market there. There's also a lot more competition, but it's like, is Australia still a good place to be as an artist?
I'd say no. Like I mentioned before, there's been a really considerable contraction of funding, of public funding for the arts in general. And when I say the arts, I'm talking about novelists, I'm talking about photographers, I'm talking about dancers, choreographers, musicians, composers, sculptors, whoever you are, it's difficult, and it's more so than it ever has been. So yeah, I do think so. I think certainly in most parts of Europe, there's a greater recognition of the importance of artistic endeavours, and so they are more supported. I think in this country, very less so.
Now, King Island Gallery, we have this artist in residency program. We're not unique there because it's all over the place where things like this happen. What made you decide to apply for the one here on King Island, Little Island? I know you're around the corner in Melbourne, so you could think, oh no, that's too close.
No, I had never been here before. Obviously, I'd heard about the place. I was kind of enticed by the idea of the natural beauty here. You know, that's something that really kind of sparked my imagination. I thought, oh, there's going to be some good ideas in that sort of environment.
And satisfied with what you've experienced so far?
I've been here less than a week so far, I'm still settling in.
First impressions?
Oh, look, I'm intoxicated by the coastline, absolutely. And I've only seen a bit of it, but it's just endlessly beautiful. Yeah, I'm delighted.
Saturday workshop. 10 to 2. What is it all about?
So we're running a workshop here. That's going to be about doing some sort of fundamentals of stop motion. So I'll show a few examples of things, and depending how many people there are, what the idea is that we're going to do a bit of stop motion in this room here. It's possible to do this just using a smartphone. So I've got a couple of tripods and a bit of equipment around that we can use, and my idea being that people can use plasticine or objects. You might have some idea of something that you want to do with seashells, move them around under camera. And by the end of the workshop, we should have at least a few seconds of material that then, you know, you can kind of fashion into stick it on Instagram or...
So there's a special app to use?
Yeah, so I found one, Stop Motion Pro, I think it's called. I'll have to check that. We've got it in the specs in the description for the workshop. I have no particular affiliation with that app. It's just one I found that is free and looks reasonably reliable. And basically all you're doing is taking a sequence of photographs with your phone camera.
So it's bring the dead to life almost, like you have a dead object and you bring it to life.
Yeah, if indeed you think it's dead in the first place, which I don't, but that's all it is. It's just tricks. There's no there is magic involved.
Okay, and then after King Island, back to Melbourne?
Well, back to Melbourne. I'll get on with things. I've got while I'm here, one of the things I'm doing is working on a script for stop motion, a short film. So I'll kind of continue on with that, and I've got a solo show in Melbourne in August. So I'll be kind of attending to that.
So by the sound of it, you never stop, you're always in motion.
Boom. Yeah, that's true. I don't actually. It's quite true. I don't have any what you call work-life balance as an artist. I also feel kind of really grateful and honoured to be here. The people I've met thus far have been real friendly and welcoming. And I will get, I'm sure, as much inspiration from the folks I talk to as I do from the beautiful natural environment around here. So don't hesitate to swing by the little studio here and say hi.